Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the RuneScape Catalyst League daily reveals and teasers. We're here on day 12, I think it is. After today there's only going to be 2 more days, then we're going to have that little break and the league will come out on September 15th. Yesterday, of course, we were granted the Tier 4 relics, Clue Connoisseur and Rejuvenated, likely both going up against Production Master that we saw before. Quick addendum to yesterday, they've updated the Clue Connoisseur relic and made it even more powerful following feedback. Taking Clue Connoisseur will also automatically grant you the clue capacity upgrade. Clue scrolls are already stackable by default and you can have 25 of any clue scroll, but there is an upgrade in the clue reward shop that upgrades that to unlimited of each clue scroll. They added yesterday that that will also be a part of this relic. You'll automatically get unlimited stackable clues, and also taking this will also give you double drop rate of clues from everywhere. So even better than we thought it was yesterday. A couple of new things on the FAQ before we delve into today's reveals though. The majority of league rewards will be purchasable from your fellow players, just like they are in old school. So the cosmetics, you know, if you want to play leagues, it might be a good money maker because you can sell the cosmetics to other players in the real game once it's finished. But certain rewards, such as the trophies, will not be tradable. So the only way to get a really good cosmetic trophy showing how far you got in the league is to do it yourself. Of course, you can make use of the thing they showed a few days ago. If you don't want to use your time on your main account to play on the league, you can make a second account, bond up both of them, and you can nominate your main to receive your rewards. So if that's something that interests you, you can do that. Will we get more Dungeoneering tokens in leagues? Sadly, tokens are calculated off the base XP from Dungeoneering before the league multiplier, so there will be no natural increase in tokens gained by completing floors. So pretty much if you want tokens, you're going to have to do like you do in the real game, kill yourself some mini bosses, maybe the Cerberus boss at the start of ED4, things like that, for the 5k tokens a time. But I would say it is worth just doing floors if you want to get that early gem bag and stuff, because that only costs like 2,000 tokens anyway. Yeah, we're not going to get natural token multipliers, which is pretty sad. It's pretty sad that there's no Dungeoneering themed relic at all in this league. Maybe there's still room for one. It'd be at tier 6 or 7 because that's the only place where there's any room left. So unlikely. What effective level are the relic tools from the Excavator, Divine Woodcutter and Animal Wrangler? So those tier 1 choices, the relic tools will all function as the highest level tool available in their bracket. So obviously depending on the skill, you'll have a different tool. So it has the same stats as the best one you could otherwise get if you don't take each of these 3 things. There isn't a good harpoon for fishing, except for the Crystal Rod, which gives you 5% more catch chance, and then there's the Tavia's Rod, which is a legendary. The catch chance buff is 5 times more likely than Tavia's Rod, or 10 times more likely than a Crystal Rod. Very strangely worded, but basically there are no stats on fishing rods, but if you do take this Trapper's Harpoon, then you're just going to get a 50% higher catch chance on your fish. So that's all you really need to know. And finally, for some reason, they're just qualifying that if you take Perfection, you'll get unlimited of all the invention components, and you can actually use those to craft items that require only invention components. I don't know who asked this question, because I can't imagine a scenario where the answer would be no. If you have infinite components, then yes, you'll be able to craft things that only require components. But in case you were wondering about that, yes, you will be able to make them. Anyway, on to today's reveals. Finally, we're actually not getting a relic, we're getting all the relic tier passives, which is massive. There are of course going to be a lot more passives in this league than just drop rate multipliers and XP multipliers. So at tier 1, so these are the effects you'll get immediately and will be applied to the entire league. You're going to get yourself a 4 times XP multiplier. All crops are naturally going to grow 5 times faster. That's something we talked about back when they revealed Farming Frenzy. But if you don't take that, crops are going to grow 5 times quicker. So a herb is 80 minutes, or it's 60 minutes if you buy the upgrade that makes it faster in the herb lore shop. So after that upgrade, it would only be 12 minutes for a herb to grow anyway. But yeah, 5 times faster. Infinite run, standard for leagues. Your hit chance is increased by plus 20%. Now that's interesting. That's not something they've mentioned so far. With all your combat styles, the one you don't pick, obviously hit chance is still going to matter. So a plus 20% hit chance, really nice. Going to allow you to do higher level combat with worse gear. Obviously, whichever combat style you do choose from the choice of the tier 6 or 5 relics, wherever those combat ones come, you will have 100% hit chance always with that style. But yeah, really nice. Archaeology shop, obviously fully available. They've talked about that already. You'll be able to buy all the upgrades from the archaeology shop from the different tiers of qualification without doing those qualification tiers. Some of them wouldn't be obtainable in the time we have in the league, especially if you don't go Excavator. So that's kind of nice. But also the souls earned from necromancy rituals are increased by plus 400%. So if you remember the other day, we talked about the combat choice of the necromancy relic giving you the full well of souls automatically completed, which is something that normally takes a couple of days to fill on an Iron Man. If you don't pick necromancy, you are still going to be able to progress that well maybe XP you want to get towards the darkness spell to use with your other styles, they will be 4 times quicker, so that is actually nice. So that'd be nice, might be useful to you if you do decide to do a little bit of soul well and you're not going necromancy. So that's tier 1, we're going to get all those things straight away in the league. At tier 2 though, the XP multiplier is going to go up from the 4x at the start straight away to 6x. Of course, tier 2, it's only 750 points, as we talked about yesterday, so if you can just look around and find yourself some really quick tasks to do, you're going to get yourself a bigger XP multiplier very quickly, so it's probably worth rushing that ASAP, because the next jump up in XP comes here at tier 4, where we get 8x. So at tier 2, times 6, that's crazy. You might actually want to put off doing some early quests until you've done enough tasks for tier 2, then do your early quests. We're getting our first look at the drop rate increase. Rare items will be doubled as soon as you hit tier 2. Obviously it's going to be every boss unique. It's likely going to be all the unique items from all tiers of clues, but there's a couple of other niche items in the game that I'm hoping this applies to, like Dragon Mattox from Big Game Hunter, everything that's in the Slayer collection log, things like that. And like I say, we will be hitting tier 2 if you're quick in the first few hours of the league. So I think you're definitely going to want to rush tier 2 before anything else. Double drops and an extra 50% on top of the XP you'll already have. You might want to start Slayer at tier 2 because you're going to be assigned a choice of 2 Slayer tasks anytime you receive a Slayer task. So that's really, really nice. Obviously they will only be 2 tasks that can be assigned by the master you're at, so that's going to be really nice if you're trying to hunt a particular monster, or there's certain ones that you don't like that you can then avoid without wasting points for a skip. You're also going to be able to pick between the minimum or maximum amounts when requesting a new Slayer task. So if you fancy a bunch of quick tasks, maybe doing some point skipping at the master in Lumbridge, you can just ask for a minimum length task, or if you want to go do like a big task, maybe you go to the Raptor and you're looking for as many undeads as you can to do as many Vorkaths as you can on task, then maybe you pick the maximum. So that's really, really nice. Not only that though, both Slayer points and Reaper points are going to be 5x when we complete a Slayer or Reaper task. Now this one's massive. We've talked a lot about Reaper points in the last couple of days because we've had a few relics like the EOF relic where we were talking about the viability of getting your own alchemical jewelry without those relics. It's going to be 5x, which is really good. It is only 300 Reaper points as well to get yourself a single Hydrix. That's really nice. Absolutely huge stuff at tier 2. By the time you're at tier 2, you're already crazy powerful and you're going to have a lot of bonuses to Slayer very early. Tier 3, very nice. It's going to be the same XP multiplier and the same drop multiplier, but we're going to get all movement ability cooldowns are reduced to 4.8 seconds, and the dive ability is automatically unlocked. If I click on dive, which is this button down here, and then I just click somewhere, my character will dive there. And in the league, once you reach tier 3, that will only be a 4.8 second cooldown. Now for me, that's a 10-second cooldown with the mobile relic active. Without mobile active, that's normally a 20-second cooldown, and that also applies to Surge, which just sends you in a direction when you surge like this, and you can also get 2 charges of Surge if you do the agility course, get double Surge, and there's also Escape, which is the same thing but backwards. And they'll all only have a 5-second cooldown, so you're not really going to need mobile, to be honest. It will likely stack with this, making all your movement ability cooldowns 2.4 seconds. I think that's too much movement, but that's going to be insane. As soon as you hit tier 3, which of course is another step up in points, tier 2 is 750 and tier 3 is 2000. That's all you do get though at tier 3. No increase in XP, no increase in drops, but you get dive straight away without having to do succession, so you can just surge and dive around the whole game, come tier 3 and make a lot of progress quicker. Tier 4, things start to really heat up though. Tier 4 of course 5,000 points, tier 3 only 2,000. We go from times 6 XP all the way up to times 8 once we hit this tier, and also rare items are now 4 times as common. So back at tier 2, which is huge because there's a lot of bosses in RS3 that have good drops that aren't super rare anyway. Even without the rep, God Wars 2 uniques are 1 in 512, and that's a relatively easy mid-game boss you can go do. So if you get to tier 4 and you have 80 in one of your combat stats and you can go to God Wars 2, the uniques are going to be 1 in 128 each. So that'd be really, really nice. Also, tier 4, you're going to automatically get all items unlocked on the tool belt. This is a weird one. You're going to get everything on here. I don't know what that means in terms of a pickaxe and axe. I don't know if it's going to just give you the best ones like I have here. Probably not. Most of this you start with. You do get the secateurs and the watering can from quests. I assume this means you're going to get the Charming Imp, the Herbicide, the Gold Accumulator, the Bone Crusher, the Seedicide, all these things as well. And I assume that also means we're going to get all the archaeology stuff that you'd normally have to unlock, like the wings and these rings and necklaces to get through the Caradet dig site. I don't know what it means particularly for the tools. I don't think it's going to give you the best in slot tool, but maybe it will because tier 4 is quite far into the thing. But yeah, but this is going to give us the Zamarakian puzzle box, which is really, really big. So not only are we going to already have dive by the time we're tier 4, because you unlock that at tier 3, at tier 4 you're going to get everything on your tool belt, which is going to include this puzzle box. I don't know if we're also going to have to complete these listed quests in order to get each of these effects, or if these are going to be freely unlocked. But either way, we're going to have the infernal puzzle box on our tool belt, which is normally the final unlock from the Succession quest once again. So maybe we can just do all these quests up to Garden of Carid and skip Succession. Don't exactly know how this works, but you know, we're going to get our tool belt filled up for free, and we're getting a lot of free power here outside of the relic system. Finally, at tier 4 though, not only we get all the things on your tool belt, you'll get 4 times drop rate, 8 times XP, and the Gate of Eladinis skilling boss will be auto unlocked. Now normally this one's behind quite a late game quest. There's a lot of questing you have to do Gate of Eladinis. You need like 86 archaeology, you need some necromancy, you need a bunch of other quest lines. This is just going to unlock the boss fight straight away. You can go straight there. It's mining mainly, but it does actually give you a lot of good XP in both construction, crafting, divination, mining, and agility. With no multipliers, if you do this boss, you get about 30k agility an hour. We're going to unlock this at tier 4 for free, where we're going to have an 8 times XP multiplier. So we're probably going to be looking at something like 200k plus agility an hour from doing this skilling boss, and then even more XP in some of these others like the mining and the crafting and the divination. So yeah, you're going to be able to get a lot of XP if you want to send some Gate of Eladinis. Amazing unique drops. You can get yourself a prayer from this boss that gives you some critical strike chance and some healing, which is really good if you get to here before you've got Soul Split unlocked. And you also of course get the Memory Dowser, which acts a lot like the Divine Hatchet at tier 1, and also the Runic Attuna that turns Runecraft into a minigame if you're not going to go Banker's Note. And then of course there is a God Book as well, just gives you a bunch of extra experience in whatever skill you're currently training, but it does need to be recharged with God Pages that this boss also drops. And if you look, this drop table is just chock full of juicy things an Iron Man would want, from skilling supplies, cannonballs, runecraft supplies, raw runes, coins, alkables, crystal keys, some divine energy, prayer renewal potions, rare seeds, and gems. So really, really a very good boss for Iron Men, very easy to do. You can solo it as well, and you will unlock that for free when you do get yourself to tier 4. It is just worth mentioning though, you do need to complete the first necromancy quest that's called Necromancy to unlock the area, and then you'll also have to complete a quest called Soul Searching, which basically unlocks the boat system in the town, so you can physically get to the entrance of the boss. But that's pretty crazy. That's tier 4 of the relic passives. Jumping up though, from the 5,000 points you need to get to tier 4 will be tier 5, which is 10k points. Double the points you've got all the way up to this point. We're still on an 8x multiplier, just like we were in tier 4, except we get for free Ancient Curses. You know, get yourself all the way up to Soul Split. I imagine that just means the spell book itself, so I don't think you can get like all the Praesal codexes for free from Angel of Death, but I do think you'll be able to, at least you're lucky enough at this point to already have 92, 95 prayer, you'll be able to use like Torment and all those, and Soul Split as well. So that's really, really nice. You won't have to do up to Temple of Sentiston and all those desert quests. You might want to anyway, there's probably tasks to do some of them, but this just means you don't have to. And if you didn't go to Gate of Eladinis in this previous one, and get yourself that healing prayer on the regular prayer book. Tier 5 as well, anytime you get yourself a Soul Reaper task from death, you'll be able to choose the task. So every single day you can go pick up one Reaper task. You'll be able to just literally go do whatever your favourite boss is, or whatever boss gives the most points, and you won't have to do whatever rubbish boss he tells you to, like Giant Mole or Chaos Ellie or something. At tier 5 as well, speaking of Reaper tasks and bossing and combat, you'll automatically unlock access to both Vorkath and a Mascot without the quests. Obviously both of these quite long quest lines, so you'll be able to go do that. A Mascot, of course, a group boss. Vorkath also can be done in a group, but it's traditionally done solo, and a Mascot has some incredible endgame gear rewards. So this might be the point where you start flexing your PVM muscles a little bit, especially if at tier 5 we do have those combat relics as a choice. I think there'll be 5. It makes a lot of sense, at least with the passives we're getting here. And you'll be able to swap your spellbooks and prayers at the Sage in Lumbridge, so it at least gives you a way to get back onto curses if you turn them off, which is nice. Once again though, we're not getting getting an increase to drop rate here. We'll already be at 4x from the previous tier, and we're not getting an increase to XP multiplier. This is another big combat tier. Some nice endgame bosses with huge drops are unlocked, and of course the choice of Reaper task. So pretty nice, pretty juicy at tier 5. But speaking of juicy, tier 6 might even be better. The XP multiplier is once again going up from 8 times to 12 times XP. Now of course the XP in RS3 is already pretty high for some skills, so when you're looking at 12x, things are going to start getting a little bit insane. Tier 6 is most likely a choice between Banker's Note and the Perk Mania Relic as well, so you'll be picking one of those as soon as you hit this tier. And of course this is a jump up from the 10k points you'd need to reach tier 5 to 17k points. So an additional 70% on top of all the points you've earned up till tier 5 you'll need to get to tier 6. This one kind of magic focused will get the Ancient Magic spellbook, which is a little bit strange because that's something you traditionally unlock a lot earlier than the Ancient Curses that they're giving us at the previous tier. You'll get the Ancient Magic spellbook. Now it doesn't actually say on this thing that you'll also get all the spells from the City of Sentistan quest, like Exsanguinate, Incite Fear, Smoke Cloud, and Animate Dead, but they did say previously that at one of the tiers in this league those would auto be unlocked. So I'm assuming with just the Ancient Magic spellbook, it means not only the spells from Desert Treasure, but also those extra ones from City of Sentistan. You'll also get the Lunar Magic spellbook and most of the spells unlocked. Now I think what this means is it's probably going to give you all the spells from Livid Farm. There's some good ones, like to be able to repair your own rune pouch and teleport to a couple of farming patches. Spiritual Healing's nice. You can use it to extend any familiar by 20%, so obviously if you're an Iron Man, you can make each of your summons last longer by casting this. You can also make Leather, not super useful. Disruption Shield's pretty good for combat. You can use this to block any one incoming hit, so that's pretty big. So some useful spells, and of course you'll get all the normal Ancient and Lunar ones as well. Also at tier 6 you'll get access to all the Seren spells and the prayers, which are normally unlocked after the Light Within quest. One of these of course is Superheat Form, which lets you burn logs when you chop them. If you want to not take that relic at tier 1, you will get the power to do it passively by the time you hit tier 6. You'll get all these wacky Seren prayers here. You'll get yourself Superheat Form, you'll get yourself Dark Form and Light Form, so you have more of a chance of healing with like Blood Barrage for example. So you can use Chronicle Attraction. If you're training Divination, you can automatically catch Chronicles, things like that. But once again, it's just a feature of the game that's normally locked behind a very end game quest, which you won't have to quest for if you hit tier 6 at 17,000 points. And finally you get the passive Ring of Vigor, which is normally unlocked after doing the Extinction quest, so kind of nice to get this. And finally tier 7, the big one, where we're almost undoubtedly going to get that choice between Specialist and Ascension. This one 26,000 points to reach tier 7, obviously 17k to get to tier 6, and here the XP multiplier will finally increase from 12x to an incredible 16 times from all sources, which includes quests and D&Ds. The drop rate's going up to 6 times at this top level. I don't know if we've had a 6x multiplier in leagues before, maybe you guys can correct me. I feel like it normally goes up to like 4, but 6x is mad. Especially by this point, obviously you'll have a lot of combat power, especially with these last tier relics you're going to pick up. So if you're doing like an enrage boss that already at those high difficulty levels have pretty good drop rates for uniques, they're going to be 6 times more, and you're going to be more likely to be able to beat them with your combat power. So that's really, really nice. But not only that, another sneaky passive here at tier 7 is the Advanced Time spell can be cast without limit. Now what this is, if you don't know, this is a spell on the standard spellbook that you can normally cast only 3 times per week. Now it does need both 93 magic but also access to time runes, which don't drop off any monsters and they aren't available for sale in any shops, and you do need 20 of them every time you cast this spell. Now you can make these at 100 runecraft, or if you're lucky you can get them if your Wild Runes perk on your runecrafting staff procs, and it basically has a chance to convert any rune you've made into a random selection of runes. So here at the very last passive of the very last tier, they're just throwing in this for a little bit of banter. You'll be able to advance time as much as you want. So normally what this is a weekly you can do 3 times a week. You can cast this spell and you can advance any of these things here by 1 day. You're going to be able to do any of these unlimited times you want. Archaeology research, any research you have sent out will instantly complete. So obviously this is really good. You get a crazy amount of materials, artifacts and experience, but you do need to be able to afford to send out these research missions. They do cost a lot of chronotes. You're not going excavator at tier 1. You're probably going to be heavily limited on the amount of research missions you can actually send out. If you finished the Orphan Dig site as well at this point, then you'll be able to, every single one you send out, guarantee a Tetra Compass piece as well. So you'll be able to do loads of Tetra Compasses. You'll be able to fast forward player own ports. This one's not actually as big as it sounds, because even if you automatically complete all the voyages, this doesn't doesn't reset the daily limit of voyages, which is about 30. It isn't going to let you just complete ports really, really quickly, because it is still hard capped by the amount of daily voyages that are offered to you, but you will be able to do a lot more of them, so that's kind of nice. You can also advance time on Miscellanea by 1 day by casting this spell, so it's basically going to give you unlimited of any of the supplies from Miscellanea that you want, providing obviously you can afford to pay the guys, but it's not very expensive. Of course, you can get seeds and herbs and wood, raw fish to feed your farm animals, but also Starbloom flower seeds as well. You could just sit here at this top tier, farm a bunch of time runes, and just keep accelerating stuff like this. Also, the base camp, you'll be able to finish it. This one's also crazy. If you have done the extinction quest, then of course you get access to this minigame called Dream of Ear Camp. You can continue to make your people get resources at the base camp, and you can turn those into experience in like one of 8 different skills. So you'll be able to just constantly advance time at your base camp by 1 day. Every time you cast this spell, you'll be able to then take those resources to Dream of Ear and just turn them into XP. And also obviously just finish the base camp if you haven't already, and you can work on completing those buildings like the passive Slayer Helm and the Hunter bonuses, things like that. Another amazing one, you'll be able to advance time on your player-owned farm and the dino farm by 1 day by casting this spell. There's actually a master task to breed a shiny dinosaur, but it should actually be relatively easy with this spell if you do hit tier 7, because you can just put a breeding pair of dinos in the breeding pen, cast this spell, and then just go check on them, see if they had a baby. All you'll have to do to make the most use of this is to be able to runecraft a lot. Obviously, if you go Banker's Note, then you'll be able to just take Noted Essence to the Time Altar and get yourself infinite runes to do this, but it is just worth mentioning, you will want to get 100 rune crafting, because they don't drop from any monsters and they're not sold anywhere. You can also reset the contracts on the Ark. I don't know how much the Ark's going to be worth doing in the league, to be honest, but you know, there's some good XP nodes on the Ark you could do. You could continually do like fishing contracts, turn them in, keep getting those chimes, and also the supplies to be able to get to more islands, so that's really nice. And you can also reset your daily limit of sandstone. So if you want to make a bunch of flasks, maybe just for the crafting experience or to make 6 dose potions, so that's a little bit of a sleeper one no one's talked about so far, and it's going to be very, very powerful. Obviously 26k points there to hit tier 7, jumping up from 17k at tier 6, 10k for tier 5, 5k at tier 4, 2000 points will be tier 3, 750 points tier 2, and obviously tier 1 we start with. So some crazy juicy stuff and some nice things that have sort of quashed a few issues I had, specifically like I said before, the soul well for necromancy, and also passively 5x Reaper points during the league, so you will actually be able to make those combat jewelries before the league's finished. A couple more things though underneath this image that they've given us information on today. A variety of quests are automatically completed. They've already mentioned this in the FAQ, we've seen this already. As long as you can physically run over there and get the lodestone, you'll be able to go to Menethos or Prith. Menethos will be really nice day 1. Like I say, the main thing there is the scarabs that randomly start appearing that you can squash for Slayer XP and coins. Those are going to be really, really powerful immediately from the start of the league. If you're playing with a bunch of people or you're in some kind of clan chat, get yourself the Menethos lodestone, and then, I don't know, if anyone calls out any scarabs, maybe on a Discord or in a group, and you'll be able to hop to their world, teleport to the lodestone and join in squashing the scarabs, getting that Slayer XP early. Because there is diminishing returns with how many scarabs you can do a day, so early on you'll probably want to do those just to get your Slayer up those annoying early levels. NPCs, implings, trees and stalls will all have decreased spawn timers. There'll be less competition for all these things. Certain NPCs around the game probably going to be very popular. I know they said they're adding like 40 worlds or something, but for like the very best NPCs in the game, they're still going to be busy on every world. Talking things like fetid zombies north of the fort, abyssal demons in the wildy. There will be some busy monsters, so it's nice to have better respawn rates. We've already said most shops have infinite stock available. I imagine this is still probably going to include the Mazcap potion shop. One thing to mention, there is a gem shop in the game, like in the old school leagues, that sells uncut gems and buys cut gems, although this is locked behind tier 3 of the Anachronia base camp. So definitely, whatever you do, go start the Anachronia base camp pretty early. Full Slayer points without smoking kills, and you'll be able to make dying arrows without the quest. This one's pretty good, because this means once you get your fire making or fletching to level 82, you can actually go play the dying arrow minigame and use that as a means to train. So whether or not you're taking the divine woodcutter at level 1, and you have those auto burning logs, if you can get yourself 82 fire making without them, you can just go do Zygamite haircuts. So some very juicy stuff today. Really happy that we're going to get a bunch of baseline things. Like I said, the 5x farming timer, that's really nice. I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to do farming frenzy, but there's also going to be quite a few who don't. I'd like to know though if this crops grow faster also affects animals on the farm, but I would imagine they probably technically use the farming timer, so I would hope that animals also grow 5x faster. One thing I didn't mention, at tier 2 you're going to get Thaler Thaler. You'll be able to earn Thaler 4 times faster. It's very boring though, it's a very AFK way to get stuff, and none of the rewards from it are particularly useful. For example, you can get the Runecraft outfit if you don't want to play RuneSpam, get a little bit more Runecraft XP, and also the Factory set, which helps you make more doses of potions if you wear a few pieces of this. You can buy the Diviner's outfit, but I'd get this through caches if I were you instead. I mean, some of these things are cool, but in the base game, you get 1 Thaler per minute or something, so getting 4 times that is still going to make each of these pieces of outfits take a long time, but you might want to go for 3 pieces of the Factory set. If you just have time to AFK and sit in a minigame and not do anything, you can get that. But the main thing to take away from this, at the very end of the league, we're going to have 6 times drop rate and 16 times XP. However, come tier 4, which isn't that far into the league, it's only 5,000 points. It's 1/5 of the points to get to tier 7. We're already going to have 8x XP and 4 times drop rate. So that's really, really cool. I think getting combat gear and other non-combat uniques, you know, maybe those Gate of Eladinus items for skilling, it's going to not be too much of a grind in the league, which is something we all want to see. So let me know, guys, if any of these surprised you, or if any of these bullet points change your game plan at all. For example, maybe you were going to rush through all the quests to unlock Vorkath, but now you get Vorkath at tier 5, so there's not much point. Maybe you want to save those early game quests until tier 2, like something like Violet is Blue 1 and 2. Get a little bit more XP out of those lamps at the end. Very excited to see that we get both Dive for free, but also 5-second cooldowns on both Surge and Dive. Anytime you see a player after like day 2 when everyone's at tier 3, they're going to just be zooming around, dashing, diving, surging. It's going to be very funny to see people. My question is, what are we going to see in the next 2 days of these reveals? Because of course there are still 2 days left. One of them, probably this last day on the 11th, is probably just going to be confirming the position of all the relics. Maybe there'll be one more relic in that last tier up against Ascension and Specialist. I would hope so. It'd be nice and exciting if tier 7 had 3 massive choices. But yeah, some really, really spicy stuff. We're going to have tons of XP. We're going to have a bigger drop rate than I thought we'd have in this league. Should be a lot of fun. Cheers for tuning in for this video. See you guys tomorrow and the day after for the last 2 league reveals. Bye for now.